Hello, boys and girls. This is Mrs. Wagner. This is week 5 of school. Thank you for watching the video. This week we are going to be working on contour line drawing. It's a part of the element of art of line. Contour line drawing is the outline of an object, so we are going to draw pumpkins. I'm hoping that everybody has a pumpkin at home. If it's too early for you to buy a pumpkin, then maybe your mom or grandma or somebody in your family likes to decorate for the fall season and they have an artificial pumpkin. That means it's a fake pumpkin, and you could look at that and draw. Otherwise, on the assignments page, I will have a line that you can click on that it says examples of pumpkins, and in that I will have photographs of pumpkins that you can look at if you do not have a real pumpkin or an artificial pumpkin. You need to look at the pumpkin that you choose. If you choose a tall pumpkin, you will want to turn your paper so that it's long, that it's tall. Otherwise, you turn your paper the opposite way so that you have space to make it wide enough. We are going to draw the outline of that pumpkin and the lines on the pumpkin that I call the ridges. And then you will have space in the background that you will paint to look like the night sky or the day with clouds. It's up to you. We'll talk about that after we're done with the pumpkin. When I draw, I usually start at the stem of the pumpkin. On my pumpkin, I can see a little bit of the cut edge of the stem, so it's a little tiny oval. And when I'm drawing the edge of that stem, just the stem. And on this side, because it's kind of bent towards the one direction, it doesn't have as much of a bend on this side. I'm not going to worry about the bottom part of the stem until I'm done with the outline or the contour line of my pumpkin. I'm going to slide my paper over so that you can see the edge of my paper. Here is the side, and I'm looking at the edge of my pumpkin. I'm looking at how does it curve? Does it go a little bit straight? The side, this is not too terribly round. It kind of has a straighter edge right here, and then it curves again. And I usually kind of stop right underneath the stem, and then I'll start on the other side. Because this paper is a little bit smaller, I won't make my pumpkin too big. This is my stem. This is actually my pumpkin back here. See how it's behind there? It doesn't have a curve though. My line kind of goes up just a little bit, but not terribly curved. It's a little flatter on this side. This has a nice curve. This one, a little flatter. Little rounder, like it seems to have a perfect round, like it doesn't ever get flat on this side. And then usually the bottom of a pumpkin's a little bit flatter than the side. Sometimes you'll have a pumpkin that's got a rounder bottom. It's a little tricky to hold, to sit it up there. Now, before we get a little any further, I want to show you how to make your pumpkin look like it's not floating in the air. I'm going to go up a little bit on the pumpkin, not right at the bottom edge. I'm going to go back a little bit like this and do the same thing on both sides. If you want to measure, sometimes I'll measure from the edge of my pencil and I'll mark where it should be, and I'll put a line about there and then continue it. You see it looks like now like it's sitting on a table. Putting it back up on the pumpkin, not right at the bottom edge, makes it look like, because a pumpkin is round, that would be the back edge of the table. So I'm going to start with the creases. Nope, I guess I better finish our stem. This is what my stem looks like. There's just a little curve here. And this one doesn't go to a point, and this one goes back there. This is what my stem looks like. Take your time. It's just like doing the outside contour line. Take your time doing this little curve. Do a little bit at a time. Draw what you see. Now I'm going to do the center crease in my pumpkin, that little ridge there. I'm going to do the rest of on the left-hand side of the pumpkin. Now watch how when you draw them, they kind of have the same curve. They go in the same direction. They're not perfectly round like this one because they're closer to the middle, so they don't have quite as much of a curve to them. But notice that they start at the stem and they get close to the middle right here on the bottom. They're like curved down. It's not like lines that are straight up and down. They curve. This one's a little bit more of a space between the ridges. And then this one is close, like it's right at the edge of where that part of the stem is. So because it's nature, nature's not exactly the same. This one is kind of like just a little bit of a distance here. Then you've got a larger distance, then a smaller distance again. And on this one, I see it, it's like it starts on the back side of that part of the stem. And then I draw, and it goes, that one's more in line with the outside curve. But again, it has to go towards the center. Because remember, if you look underneath your pumpkin, you will see that the lines meet at the bottom. Now we're going to do this side. Now these will curve this way, like along this side of a curve, because they wouldn't go the same direction all the way across. Please take your time and look and see what you're seeing, what your eye sees. This side should curve to this, in this direction. I got a big space again there. That one's a big one. A lot of space between those grooves. And then I'm only going to draw one more. On this side, I have a lot of extra little ridges. I'm just going to draw the like 3 or 4 on that, on either side. So there's our pumpkin. When we are done with that, you may use a brown crayon. You can use a dark orange crayon. You could use a red crayon. I'm going to use a red orange just for my pumpkin. I would like you to darken the lines of the ridges and the pumpkin. You can do black if you like to do black and keep everything one color. You can change color and be creative and do green. You could do a blue stem. This is your design. The contour line drawing is the most important part of it. I want you to know how to look, to take your time, to let your eye look at something and notice that there's a little curve there, or it gets a little straighter there, and be patient with yourself. You are just artists in training. Actually, artists learn their whole life. Mr. Wagner is in his studio now after being out on work and in another state for a while, so he's very, very happy. Even if he's not doing exactly what he wants and he's messing up because he hasn't been out there practicing enough because he's been gone for so long, he's still happy to be in his studio enjoying making art. Be kind to yourself. Artists make mistakes. Happens a lot. Sometimes we learn more from our mistakes than we do from being perfect the first time. Doesn't give you a chance. Look, I just colored off of that line. Take your time. If you want to use watercolors next week to add color to these, if you have them in your house, you can. If you do not, we'll be adding, we could use colored pencils if we want to add color to the centers of this. But right now we're just going to outline the shape of the objects, the stem, the pumpkin, and I think I'm going to do blue for my table. So I'm just tracing this here. Next week, we will talk about what we're gonna do inside with color and in your backgrounds. This week, this is difficult. I want you to take your time, be kind to yourself, and enjoy it.